Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 112th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. Start before you're ready. Now, this episode is going to be short. It's going to be to the point, but I really want you to leave with the message of you are enough just as you are right now. And if you have a big dream that you've been sitting on, now is the time to start. So I'm going to start off with a little story, then we're going to kind of dive into the nitty gritty, then we're going to wrap things up. So the concept of this conversation is actually coming from a conversation I had with my son, Gavin. He's 11 years old, and this past summer we went to Reno on a little trip. It is nighttime, we are in the hotel room, and he asked me, "Mom, can you tell me a story?" Now, I love telling Gavin stories. He likes real life stories, so I have to dig deep back into the past because trying to come up with all these new creative stories takes work. So we're in the hotel room, I tell him a story, and when I wrap up, I say, "Gavin, can you tell me a story?" And Gavin tells me, "Mom, I'm not good at telling stories." What I said to him was, "Gavin, do you want to know how you get good at telling stories? You tell stories." He then proceeded to tell me the best story. He had been camping with his grandma and grandpa. Actually, we picked him up from camping. So this lucky kid got back-to-back vacays. So we picked him up from camping. And so he was telling us the story about how his grandma and grandpa were walking down to the lake and he was taking his bike, kind of an off route. And he ends up hitting some gravel, flies head over his handlebars on the ground, completely stunned, stays there laying on the ground for 30 whole seconds while other people who are camping are just staring at him. And then he gets up, and while he's got some battle wounds, he's bleeding a little bit. He's okay. He's not hurt. So he goes and he meets his grandma and grandpa and tells them all about what happened. So when he was done, I was just so impressed because, first off, it was a really good story. It was creative. He had lots of good storytelling elements to it. And I was thinking about what he told me. He told me, "Mom, I'm not good at telling stories." And yes, I'm his mom, so I'm biased, but he is good at telling stories. How often do we tell ourselves that we're not good at something and we never do it? When truth of the matter is we're a lot better than we think, and how we get good at doing the thing is by doing the thing, but we have to start. So you guys, I think for everyone listening, because I know this is dietitians, NDTRs, dietitians to be primarily who's listening to this podcast. And we all struggle in one way or another with perfectionism. And oftentimes the temptation when it comes to pursuing a big dream, that could look like starting a side hustle, adding a new stream of income, leaving your job, starting an online course that costs a lot of money and is really scary, working with a business coach, whatever it is, even outside of business, even something in your personal life, these things can be scary. And we have this temptation where sometimes we just want to wait. We want to wait for a couple things to happen. Sometimes it's we want to wait until we are the expert. We feel like, well, man, I got a job working in dialysis, but my real heart and my passion is educating people about diabetes. And I feel like I'm not the expert in diabetes, so I'm not the person to help them. So I got to wait till I can become that expert. Or maybe you are a new dietitian and you feel like, I can't really help people. I have to wait till I've been a dietitian for 5 years or some random number. Or even if you're that dietitian who's switching careers or doing something new, you feel like, well, gosh, if I want to work in diabetes, I have to be working in diabetes for X number of years so I can become the expert before I start pursuing my dreams. You may also think that maybe you need a credential. You may think rolling with that diabetes idea, if I want to help people with diabetes, I have to get I want to say CDE. I know it's different now. It confuses me, but you guys know. But maybe you think, oh, I need to get my diabetes education credential before I can do the thing. Or maybe we think, okay, I need to save up money before I do the thing. Whatever it is, there are often things that are holding us back before we take the next step, thinking that I'm not good enough, I'm not the expert enough, I need more experience, I need more credentials, I need X, Y, and Z. So you have these big dreams and you're just sitting on them. So my message for you today, start before you're ready. Start before you're ready because you will get better. Think about your journey to become a dietitian. And I know some of you listening are students, you're on that journey now. But when you went into school, you had no idea how to become a dietitian. Like, you didn't know the things. You went to school to learn. As you learned, you got better. Then you did the dietetic internship. And this is where we took from, sitting in a classroom learning to boots on the ground doing the thing. And holy cow, that's when learning really comes to life, when we're doing it, right? Then you get your first job. Now, dietetics is amazing, but man, we have a very wide field, right? We could be doing clinical, food service, community. And within any of those areas, there's a gazillion things you could be doing, from like working with kiddos to working with geriatrics to working with oncology or everything in between. And oftentimes we get in that first job, especially if it's specialized, oh my goodness, it takes time. But eventually we're like, man, I got this. I'm totally got this thing. So thinking of that process and journey, it's like, if we wanted to become a dietitian, we had to do all the things. It wasn't just a matter of us learning about how to become a dietitian. We had to do the internship. We had to start a job. Like, we actually had to dive in. And over time, we got better because we did the thing, right? Now, I like to paint this example of going to the gym, and hopefully this makes sense. So say you're a mama and your kids are growing up and they're getting real big, but you still want to be able to hold both of your kids. So you're like, I don't have the strength, but I'm going to get the muscle mass so I can carry these kiddos around even though they're getting big. So what do? You make a plan and you go to the gym and you lift weights. You do lots and lots of reps, day after day after day. Now it's not tomorrow, it's usually not the next week, but over time, you get better and suddenly reach that goal. You can carry those big kiddos around. And it's like this with anything in our business and the goals that we have. It takes reps. It takes doing the thing over and over again. And that is how we get better. And sitting around thinking or waiting or putting expectations on when you're going to be good enough to pursue your dreams, it doesn't serve you in any way. And I just want to provide you that encouragement that I know I said at the beginning, but you are enough right now, just as you are. You're a dietitian, you guys, like most of you are dietitians. And even if you don't have the answers, you know where to go to get the answers. Like, you are more than qualified just as you are now. I think of all the people who are online, who are not credentialed, who just happen to eat food and talk about nutrition. And they're online making a killing. They are making money. They have huge followings and they are so confident. And I wish that our field had the confidence of an uncredentialed nutritionist. Like, I really do, because we have the skills, we have the education, we know where to get the information, the evidence-based information. We have a network we could reach out to. But so many of us struggle with the confidence, right? I feel like, oh, not good enough yet. You are, okay? So if you have a dream, I want you to go for it. Now, your dream, maybe it's to start your side hustle. Maybe it's to leave your job. Maybe it's to finally invest in that online course. Whatever it is, I want you to start before you're ready, before your brain tells you you're ready, because a couple things are going to happen once you actually start doing the thing. First off, when you actually start doing it, you start building up that experience that you think you need. You're getting the experience because you are actively doing it. You might feel like, what if I don't have all the answers? What if someone asks me a question I don't know? That is okay. You know where to get the information, and it is okay to tell someone, let me get back to you on that. It's okay. No one expects you to know everything. And if they do, don't work with those humans. No. So you're going to get the experience by doing the thing, and you're also going to learn lessons. You're going to learn amazing lessons. And we talked earlier about perfectionism. And I think this is one of the things when it comes to wanting to wait before we start, right? Getting the years of experience, becoming the expert, getting the credential. Because when we start something, we want it to be perfect. We don't want to mess up. We don't want to fail. We have this expectation of if I wait and I do all these things, I'm going to go into this side hustle, this thing, and it's going to be perfect. And I'm here to tell you, perfection doesn't exist. And no matter what you do, there's going to be ups and downs, and that's okay. And I think so many dietitians fear failure. I used to fear failure myself, but now I recognize that failure is the best teacher. I learn so much more from failure than I do from just plain old success. And I honestly don't believe in failure. I believe true failure only happens when we give up. If you hit a road, like a speed bump or whatever, and things don't go the way you expected, again, amazing teacher. You learn, you pivot, you change, you become better than what you were before. But as long as you don't quit, there really is no failure. So I guess what I'm trying to say is so often we are trying to avoid that failure. But it's going to teach us amazing lessons and make us better. So if we understand it as part of life and it's not something to fear, it's going to give us more confidence in getting started. And like I said, you can plan for years. Things are still good. You're still going to have road bumps, right? So the other thing starting before you're ready is going to give you is time. Because I talk a lot about blogging, and blogging is a long-term game. It takes some time before the major search engines start picking your website up, before you start getting good traffic, before you start making passive income. And so I often say with the blog, the best time to start was yesterday, because the more time under your belt, the better. So the sooner you get started, the more time you have, the more experience you're going to get, the more you're going to start building things up. And then also, the more you're going to learn, because once you're doing the thing, you're going to continue to learn, you're going to continue to get better, continue to pivot, and all of the things. Like I said, with like the dietetic internship, right? We had the basic bones, but there were a lot of things where we didn't know. We were there to really learn, boots on the ground, and that's how we learned, was doing the thing. So just know that when you start, you're going to get better. You're going to get experience, and you're going to finally be pursuing those big dreams you have. And it's not just going to be an idea in your head. I can't tell you guys how many people I've spoken to who have these big dreams that you've been sitting on for years. Years you've been sitting on these dreams, and you still feel like you're not good enough to do the thing. So my message today is start before you're ready. So I guess I'm just going to wrap things up now. And if you are sitting on that dream right now, I want to encourage you to start today. You don't have to be ready, but you have to be willing. And if you're willing to get past your fear, get over all of those messages your brain is telling you about how you need to wait more time, save up more money, get more credentials, blah, 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 blah. Ignore those voices. Just start. You have everything that you need right now. And as you start doing the thing, you're going to continue to get what you need and learn and grow, but you have to start. So I hope this message was encouraging for you. And for those of you who are like, oh yeah, Katie, you are speaking to me, definitely reach out to me on social. You can email me. If you go to my website, you can find all the ways to reach out to me, dietitiansidehustle.com. I love hearing from you guys and hope that this message was encouraging for the right person who needed to hear it today. So as always, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If you want to learn more about all the ways we can work together, go to katiedodd.com. katiedodd.com is kind of like my Linktree page. The links might change, but it includes a lot of my freebies. It includes different affiliate programs I'm working with, different ways that we can work together, and definitely go there if you want to learn more about how we can work together. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, and we'll chat next week. Bye, guys.